Hello and welcome to a special episode of the Shittem Chest. It's been a good while since I made a guide video. With the release of the summer version of the Tea Party, might as well dust off the cobwebs on this channel and make Blue Archive content once again. So I'm going to discuss Seia swimsuit, Hasumi swimsuit, Nagisa swimsuit, and Mika swimsuit in that order. We're going to check out their skills and their relevance to the upcoming endgame content. Then later, I'm going to give my personal thoughts to which one to prioritize. Without further ado, let's start with Seia swimsuit. We're going to use Chalet DB as reference. She's a middle striker support with a piercing attack type and mystic armor type. She has S rank on urban, B rank on field, and D rank indoors. Here are her stats at 5 stars, level 90, 4-star exclusive weapon with tier 10 equipment, and relationship rank 20 on both versions of herself and without any talent level. But we're not here for these numbers. Let's check out what she does. Her EX skill is cost 3 and she increases the EX skill damage dealt of an ally by 74.1% for 25 seconds at level 5. Seia is the second ever student that provides this buff, while Kisaki being the first. Comparing the two, they share the same cost, and Kisaki's buff is stronger by 6.6%, but Seia lasts longer by 10 seconds without the buff retention. I think comparing the two is a bit unfair, knowing that Seia is a striker while Kisaki is a special. Seia offers longer duration at the expense of exposing herself in the fight, while Kisaki offers more potency at the expense of shorter duration. Her basic skill activates every 12 basic or normal attacks, and she restores the HP of an ally with the lowest HP for 103% of her healing, and then herself for the same percentage at level 10. Having a pocket healing on the team is always welcome. And interestingly, her basic skill is backed up with your sub skill that increases her attack speed by 31% for 26 seconds after she uses her EX skill. This helps her activate her basic skill more than usual, which is nice. And finally, her enhanced skill increases her healing by 26.6%, and at 2-star exclusive weapon, she gets buff retention by 1900 or 19%. Doing the math, her EX skill damage dealt buff lasts for 29.75 seconds with the buff retention. That's 4.75 seconds more, and her sub skill right over here lasts for 30.94 seconds, which is 4.94 seconds more. Next, we have Hasumi swimsuit. So here are her stats at 5 stars, 4-star exclusive weapon, and relationship rank 20 on all 3 versions of herself. She has D rank on urban, S rank on field, and B rank indoors. Her EX skill costs 5 and she deals 866% damage to all enemies in a fan-shaped area. The range is pretty good for hitting enemies in a large area. Good examples are the waves of mobs in Chesed, the spider robots in Tiferet, or maybe Kite and Field Grand Assault if you manage to group them closely together. Her basic skill activates every 35 seconds and she increases her own crit damage by 24.4% for 30 seconds. And then for each stack of watermelon slice that she has, she increases her own crit rate by 8.9% for 30 seconds. So how do we get the watermelon slices? Looking at her sub-skill, Hasumi gets a stack of watermelon slice for every 4 times she hits an enemy with her EX skill. Each stack lasts for 43 seconds and it can be accumulated up to 4 times, requiring her to hit 16 enemies in total. In addition, every stack of watermelon slice increases her crit damage by 6.2%. Let's calculate the total crit and crit damage that Hasumi gets if she managed to collect 4 stacks of watermelon slices. For the crit, she gets 8.9 times 4, that's 35.6 crit rate from her basic skill. For the crit damage, she gets 24.4% from her basic skill, and then from her sub skill, 6.2 times 4, that's 24.8%. In total, she gets 49.2 crit damage. Looking at her stats with these buffs, she gets 1140 crit and 367.75% crit damage. Hovering the crit stat over here, we can see the crit chance given the target's crit resistance. For example, on Chesed, all enemies have 20 crit res. So Hasumi without the outside buffs, and if all conditions are met, has a 62.69 chance of dealing critical damage. Nice. And finally, Hasumi's enhanced skill improves her attack by 26.6%, and at 2-star exclusive weapon, she gets an additional flat 835 attack. Seia swimsuit and Hasumi swimsuit will appear on their respective banners first before the anniversary banners. As usual, we will get a total of 100 pulls on these banners for free. Let's move on with the half anniversary students, starting with Nagisa swimsuit. She's a special support and at level 90, 5 stars, 4-star exclusive weapon, at relationship rank 20 on both versions of herself. Here are the stats shares for the strikers. She's S rank on Urban, A rank on Field, and D rank indoors. Her EX skill costs 3 and she gives cost overload and 78.6% crit damage to an ally that lasts for 26 seconds. So what is this cost overload anyway? Basically, if a striker has a cost overload buff, they can loan up to 5 cost to activate their skill early. If you loan, your cost becomes negative and you have to wait for the cost to go back to 0 to pay for it. However, this only works if you currently have the maximum number of students on your formation. So if someone retreats or dies, you cannot use cost overload for the rest of the run. Also worth noting that you cannot use any EX skill while your cost is on the negative, and cost overload does not apply to summons and special students. Comparing the crit damage buff, our Dress EX skill provides more with a difference of 15.2 and it lasts 4 seconds longer, while Aqua has 5.3% less that lasts for a shorter time. Every 35 seconds, her basic skill decreases the crit damage rest of a single target by 38.2% and then she deals 376% damage to the same target. This makes Nagisa a proficient crit damage buffer and a good crit damage rest debuffer at the same time. Her enhanced skill increases her crit damage by 26.6%. A 2-star exclusive weapon, she gets a buff retention by 1900 or 19%. This makes her EX skill last for 30.94 seconds, which is 4.94 seconds more, making her crit damage buff last a bit longer than Aru. And finally, her sub-skill increases everyone's crit damage by 17.3%. At least it's not restricted to a specific attack type, unlike her original self. Let's move on to Mika's swimsuit. If I have a nickel for every time Mika becomes an anniversary student, I'll have 2 nickels. It's not that much, but it shows how Nexon loves Mika. Here are her stats at level 90, 5 stars, 4-star exclusive weapon, tier 10 equipment, and relationship rank 20 on both versions of herself. Just like Nagisa, she works best on Urban, having X rank. She's A rank on Field and D rank indoors. Let's discuss her EX skill. This might be a little overwhelming, but don't worry, we will break this down without making it way too complicated. Mika's EX skill can be targeted towards herself or towards a single enemy. If Mika uses her EX skill for herself, she will enter rapid fire stance for 30 seconds at cost 2. This stance allows her to use her EX skill over and over again until the duration or until you cancel the stance at 0 cost. When the stance ends by either means, her EX skill will be moved towards at the very end of the EX skill deck. If you use Mika's EX skill towards a target, she will deal 1571% damage to that target at cost 4. And if she's currently on rapid fire stance, her EX skill will be withdrawn immediately, making it spammable, but the cost will be increased the more you use it. For the first and second time, the cost is 4. For the third and fourth time, the cost is 6, and further use will cost 10. Her basic skill activates every 40 seconds, and she increases her sonic effectiveness by 59.8% for 33 seconds. It's going to take a while before she uses it for the first time, but there's only a 7-second window between each activation afterwards, which is pretty good. Her enhanced skill increases her auto attack range by 100 units and her attack by 21.2%. What does the auto attack range imply? This version of Mika doesn't have the evasion that her OG has from her badge in exchange of crit rest and crit from the hairpin. This version of Mika doesn't have the evasion that her original self has from her badge in exchange of the CC rest and crit from the hairpin, both of which she doesn't need at all. Having the attack range enables her to back out a little bit behind your main tank, well, at least by theory. A 2-star exclusive weapon, she gets an additional 3800 crit damage. And finally, her sub-skill makes all of her attacks deal critical damage, and her sonic effectiveness is perma increased to 49.25%. No strings attached. Now, we laid out everything that they had. I'm going to enumerate every single endgame content, actual and theoretical, where these girls shine. Hasumi is very useful on Chesed in clearing waves of mobs. Just like Makoto, Hasumi is a sniper character who has just enough accuracy to hit every enemy in Chesed without worrying about their evasion. She was also utilized against heavy armor Tiferet, as she can clear waves of spider robots as well as getting rid of roadblocks during the second phase. Hasumi has a light armor so she can tank against Tiferet's attacks. But unlike Yukari's swimsuit, Hasumi doesn't have the cost recovery and the built-in piercing effectiveness on her kit in exchange of critical damage. Theoretically, as I mentioned before, she should be able to do well against Kite and Grand Assault on heavy armor, provided that you're able to position the Kite Rangers in such a way that Hasumi can hit all of them at once. Perhaps Hasumi could do a good job against Peruzilla Grand Assault on heavy armor with a similar strategy. As far as I can remember, Seia on the other hand didn't have much opportunity on the past total assaults due to her armor type. Odd, Peruzilla, Gebura, or Kurokage. And Kisaki being our first pick when it comes to EX skill damage and cost recovery. But Seia showed promise during the first iteration of Yasod, not only because she can survive well against its attacks, but she also serves as a second source of EX skill damage when Kisaki was previously used on previous formations. Nagisa was pretty universal across multiple raids. She was used as a very good alternative to Aru Dress. Nagisa works really well with Mika's swimsuit as she compensates with Mika's increasing EX skill cost, and she provides a lot of crit damage from her EX skill and sub skill. I would say that among all of the Trinity swimsuit girls that we've discussed, Nagisa has the most utility and frequency of use on endgame content. As of recording of this video, I called Nozomi the Queen of Sonic Indoors. Now, I consider Mika as the Queen of Urban and Field in the single target damage category. She can demolish any boss if they're on the street or on the field. Good examples so far were the following: Bina Grand Assault Elastic Torment, Chesed Grand Assault Elastic Torment, and the Hieronymus Grand Assault Elastic Insane. Interestingly, on Yasod, Mika was simply there to help with the damage accumulation of Wakamo's EX skill, who could bypass Yasod's 99% damage resistance. Now I'm going to express my honest, subjective thoughts on the pull priority among the Trinity Tea Party Swimsuit and Hasumi. Huge disclaimer though, I'm just merely suggesting who to pull for, but at the end of the day, pull for whoever you want. If you like this particular character, then by all means, go for them. Follow your heart, okay? Let's start with the first two banners, Hasumi and Seia. Because of the highest utility support of Seia, I would prioritize her over Hasumi. If you need an additional AoE piercing character, there's no harm in attempting to get Hasumi. If you're aiming to get Seia, let's think about getting her first, then worry about raising her to EW40 or so later on. As for the anniversary banners, I gotta say that you should try to get both of them. Just like Rio, Nagisa offers a really helpful and unique buff for your roster that is way too good to be missed. And what's better than one gorilla? That's right, two gorillas. For Nagisa, I suggest having your exclusive weapon at least 2 stars for the buff retention. For Mika, I suggest having your at least 3-star exclusive weapon. If you cannot do it right now, that's no big deal and you can just buy their shards from the Mastery Certificate shop every month. And that's it for the quick overview of the swimsuit versions of Seia, Hasumi, Nagisa, and Mika. Hope this video helps. And if you want more Blue Archive content and streams, go ahead and subscribe. I have a Discord server and everyone's welcome. The link's down below. That's it for now and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.